Hi there, people. This is Pray Love, and I'm going to do a comeback on another fragrance that I've already covered. And this one is Bamboo Man by Franck Olivier. So you can see the presentation is okay. It's like it looks good. There's the gradient, the blue gradient, and the bamboo leaf at the back, which is like engraved. It's pretty nice. The cap is super cheap. It's like a cheap kind of plastic. It's not metal. It's just plastic, and but it's a super cheap fragrance. Let's say that it's. I think it probably cost me like $5 or $10, something like that. Anyway, on discounter, it's very cheap. And this fragrance is an ambroxan bomb. As a matter of fact, it really smells close to. For me, I think it's Prada Luna Rosa Carbon, but it also like gets the comparison a lot on Dior Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, and also the Eau de Parfum because they're pretty similar. So it gets that comparison, but for way cheaper, let's say, sometimes for like $100 cheaper. So it's something you want to save up. Sometimes I'm not really a fan of. Yeah, I've got some clone fragrances. It's not that I'm not a fan. It's in fact, yeah, I'm not a fan because I think that you should have some artistic liberties on fragrances, and you can go for the Ambroxan Bomb craze without doing an exact clone of Sauvage, And this one, it actually goes a bit somewhere else, and I'm gonna explain why. So a lot of people out there are saying this is just straight up a clone. But I've owned Luna Rosa Carbon. I've sampled, Sauvage Eau de Toilette up to the Parfum. I didn't check the elixir yet that much. I've just tested it once. And I've owned Sauvage Eau de Parfum. I've sold it. And actually, I sold it because Bamboo, I kind of like the vibe a bit better. And let me explain why. Sauvage Eau de Parfum is a very, like, it smells, it's very powerful, it's very nice. It has that vanilla, it has everything you want from that kind of fragrance. It has warmth and sexiness and whatever. And I really like it, but I've smelled it way too often, I think, on like for my own taste. And also, I think that it's a weird DNA that you try to get as super, like, high quality as that because it's kind of like it's an ambroxan bomb. For me, it's like kind of it smells a bit like a gym scent. It's not something that I would. And back in the days, I wouldn't have said that, but nowadays, after I've tried a lot more, high end fragrances and stuff, perhaps that my tastes have changed and I'm not really into that ambroxan craze. Um, and I've had like Bleu de Chanel Parfum too, which was a super nice fragrance and a bit more sophisticated. So, there's tons of fragrances out there, but they all had something that I was like, "Meh, it's a lot of money for like a fragrance that I'm not willing to pay that much for." So I just set it aside. I've got the sample still, so if I really get like I really want to review them or check them out again. I've got the little samples, I've got plenty of them, so everything's all right. But also, if I want to wear an Ambroxan bomb, I'm just gonna wear Bamboo. And why? There is an artistic liberty inside of Bamboo. And you will say, apart from the weird opening, because the opening is sometimes it's a bit rigid. It's a cheaper fragrance, but it has a kind of a I can't explain it really much, but first off, there's the sweetness out of the lavender that is really nice. It's really has that clean shower gel type vibe that you are looking for when you buy something like Sauvage and or Bleu de Chanel or Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. They're all like they have a shower gel kind of a vibe, which is different from the aftershave kind of a vibe that people really liked in the fougère back in the 80s, in the 90s, and even the 70s and 60s. Anyway, so it's not like we've moved from the aftershave to the shower gel vibe, the luxury shower gel, and this one really smells like that. But there is this kind of, I don't know if it's just because it's in the name, but I've associated like eucalyptus or bamboo or something like that that just gives off that zen vibe. When it dries down, you get pretty much something similar to all those ambroxan bombs because they all smell like ambroxan pretty much. But you have like this really nice, yeah, kind of eucalyptus zen vibe, which is super cool. I think for me it's like amazing. It's like if in Bleu de Chanel you had these citruses that were very distinctive. In Prada Luna Rosa Carbon, you had that metallic note, that carbon accord, metallic carbon accord that is very different. In Sauvage Eau de Parfum, you had this nice, vanilla and in I think all the iteration there's some resins. But this one, it's like if you get like lavender, a bit of citrus, but mostly you get this eucalyptus, very calming, very nice vibe. And I think that this thing is perhaps the distinctive factor that made me like it so much because I was not never getting towards I was not gravitating towards Sauvage at all because I was like, yeah, but I like this eucalyptus kind of a vibe. And also, it's not as a party projector than Sauvage. I'm not really into those super obnoxious fragrance that just spread out and everybody can smell you. This one has a moderate to big projection. The bamboo one, like it projects a lot and it still has that ambroxan powerhouse feel, but it's a bit more contained. Uh, I really like that one. I think it's less dark than Sauvage Eau de Parfum, but I really liked that in the Eau de Parfum. That was the thing that made me go for it instead of Luna Rosa Carbon or instead of Bleu de Chanel. It was that darkness, the dark factor that I found there. But in the end, I've got so many real dark fragrances, like, and I've talked like on another video, I talk about Dracar Noir. That's pretty dark and pretty clean too. So why would I go for another thing like that? And also, I've got like some real dark stuff. The tobacco vanille, noir extreme, ombre leather, all the Tom Fords, in fact, but not just the Tom Fords, but I've got a lot of like darker fragrances that makes the darkness in Sauvage pretty obsolete. Like I've got too many choices from a dark and maybe even vanilla centric standpoint to actually go for something that's clean and shower gel like, but with that vanilla and with that touch of darker material in there. But that's just me. But anyway, that was a great find. It's super cheap and it's an ambroxan bomb that does exactly the same thing as Sauvage and Prada Luna Rosa Carbon and Bleu de Chanel, but it costs a lot less and it's got that uniqueness factor that I really like with the eucalyptus. I think it's eucalyptus. I've never checked out the actual notes, but it has that zen vibe. It has that you're calm. You're not that edgy Sauvage EDT kind of a guy. You're bamboo. It's like but it had like yeah, you I think it's fun for me to find some things that are more unique that has a factor that's different. I was like When I bought that, it was a blind buy, I think, to save the shipping for something or one of those fragrances, and in fact, it was like a nice discovery. I thought it was going to be like a pure clone of Sauvage that was like less well blended and cheaper than Sauvage, but it actually got like it brought something different. And the Franck Olivier line, super nice. You can check Oud Touch and stuff like that. It's all very, very good fragrances for a very cheap price at discounters. So spread love and spray love. Bye bye.